Hi and welcome to my May allotment tour. First of all, I just want to apologise because this video is coming to you a lot later than I would have really liked. I've just been so busy on the plot, and then I was ill for a short time, and I've just not had time to sit down and record this video. But if you've been following me on Instagram, you'll know that for the last few weeks I've been transforming this patch over here into a wildlife area. And I've finally done it, so I'll show you around that shortly. But looking back at May, on the whole it's actually been quite a hot month, and as much as we've all really enjoyed the extra sunshine and warmth, you know, everything's really growing fast now. It also means that the weeds are growing, which is inevitable in a garden, and especially when we get quite a bit of rain shortly after the sun. But it got to a point where I was just getting a bit stressed out and overwhelmed by it all, because May is quite a busy month for us all anyway, because we've got seedlings to pot up, plants to go out, structures to build and support our peas, and I've got my other projects on top, and then the weeding, so it all got a bit overwhelming. But I just made sure at times like this you just take 5 minutes, 10 minutes and just sit back to enjoy your garden and just try and relax. And I am actually feeling much better about it now, especially now that I feel like I've got more of my plot sort of cultivated and ready to grow. So yeah, I'm feeling much better now. But anyway, let's go on a little tour and I'll show you the new wildlife area. We'll have a look in the polytunnel so you can see the jungle of plants that I have in there. And generally we'll just have a little look around and see what's new on the plot for May. So this is the path down to my plot, and I realise we always start from the gate, but if you have any suggestions, if you'd prefer to go around my plot in a different way, let me know in the comments. It is quite windy today. I've got a little fuzzy microphone on, so hopefully you'll be able to hear me okay. Wow, when you compare this to last month, everything is so green and flourishing. On the left here we've got some, I think these are dog roses, and the bees go nuts for them. Look. I mean, this border has so many weeds in it. I haven't had time to weed it, but it's quite wild, which is kind of my style. I just let things do what they want, really. But yeah, the bees are really loving this corner of the plot. My herb bed has gone wild as well. Really bushing out now. I need to cut some of it back. Look at the chive flowers. They're so pretty. I love the little pom-pom shapes. And the bees also love those as well. Down at the pond area, the ferns are well and truly open now, and the hostas are surviving okay, since all the frogs will eat the slugs. Now, as for the pond itself, when you can find it, I know there's a lot of duckweed in there, and that's gone a little bit berserk in the last few days. But I know I still have frogs and newts and tadpoles in here as well. But it's kind of tricky to spot anything at the moment. I might have to take some of that off the surface and leave it by the side of the pond. Oh, these are lovely little poached egg flowers, and the hoverflies really love them. These have been actually self-seeded from flowers that I grew last year, so it's great that I haven't even had to sow those. So here's the raspberry patch, and it's like a jungle. Look at it. I've got so many canes in there, and they're all flowering, and the bees are busy pollinating them. I'm going to have a lot of raspberries this year. I did start to build the support you can see these posts here, and I've tried to wire it up, but I didn't have quite enough wire, and I was doing it on my own, and it's starting to stress me out a little bit, so I still need to finish this, but they are looking a lot more tidier than they did before. I've also weeded this path. You might remember this was a right mess last month. Next to it, the strawberry patch. I'm going to have so many strawberries, guys. I've got 2 cages, and then the patch over there. And some of them have got so many flowers on. I've not seen a year like it. Here, the black currants. They're already changing colour. Oh, and down here, these are the strawberries, white strawberries, and where's the label? I bought them reduced last year. Each plant was £1, and they are snow white strawberries. So they're a bit like an opposite strawberry. They have white flesh with red little pips. Sorry for the wind, I hope you can hear me okay. This is my spindle tree that has tiny, tiny little flowers on it. That's in a pot, by the way. I've not yet decided where it's going to live permanently. Here's the other strawberry patch. Now you can just see how many buds there are. And these are only a year, this is their first year fruiting really. These were the runners from the plants on the other side that I planted up, and they're just absolutely swamped in buds and flowers. So I'll be making lots of jam this year. What's your favourite strawberry recipe? Let me know in the comments, because I'm going to need it. If I just backtrack a little, we come to the apple tree area. The rhubarb, I've already been harvesting lots of that. It just looks so luscious. I love the jungle leaves. But yeah, they're doing really well. I made sure that I had lots of manure early on in the season. It did actually start to flower as well. I think a lot of people's has this year because of the weather. So you have to make sure you cut the flower stalks off, otherwise it really slows down the growth of the plant and you won't have as many stems to harvest. These are my autumn fruiting raspberries. I can't remember the varieties, but one of them's golden and one of them's red. That's not very useful, is it? But they taste really nice. And it's great to have such a sweet raspberry later on in the year. Now these alliums are the Globe Master. Not yet in bloom, but this one that I've been given is. It's still in a pot actually because I haven't planted it out. I've only got it quite recently from a lady that was giving some plants away just outside her home. It was really sweet. So I'm looking forward to these coming up. I planted them only in November last year, so they should be really, really big flowers. Here's the apple tree, and it's got little tiny baby apples on it already. It's going to be such a good year for apples as well. It was absolutely covered in flowers. It looked beautiful a few weeks ago when the tulips were still in bloom under the apple tree, and the blossom, oh, it was just so pretty. It was absolutely covered. Now the tulips have faded now, and we've still got some forget-me-not, but I'll shortly be planting some cosmos under here, some cornflowers, and they'll all be going out under the tree. Which leads us to the wildlife area. Look at it. So if you just go back to last month, this area was completely overgrown. It was full of carpet and tarp, lots of ivy, so much glass and asbestos too. So I've had to remove all of that, dig it over, put some nice compost down, and now I've planted it out. And I must say I'm so pleased with it. It's going to look even better when it fills out, but for now, you know, it's already looking so much better. I even saw a little vole coming out of the tunnel the other day, and he was actually pinching some of the flowers that I just planted out. So what I've done is, in the middle here is the bird bath. The bath part is actually at home at the moment because it needs fixing. It's got a crack, and I'm going to hopefully seal that with some resin. I've put lots of logs at the back. There's some wooden stumps over there in the corner, and a little bee house too. I love my little stepping stones. They're there so that I don't have to disturb any of the soil by trampling over it for any insects that might be in there. It makes it quite playful. Reminds me of being a child, these steps. And these lead up to the back where the hedge was recently laid last year. And what I've done is I've used some spare cuttings. These are from the hazel that grow on my plot. And I'm using these to support my sweet peas. So as you can see, I've actually tried to plant quite a different mix of flowers in the wildlife area, and we're going to have lots of different pinks and blue colours because it's great to have that variety for wildlife, and different insects like different coloured flowers. So over here we've got some lupins, some foxgloves. These aren't flowering just yet. Hopefully they'll catch up soon and be flowering the next month or two. I've also got some hollyhock, some verbena, and I've got some lovely little bedding plants here just to go along the pathway, so they'll stay quite low. What else do we have? I have some cosmos that are yet to come through, so that'll give like a nice wavy meadowy look with nice big daisies on the top. There's some lavender. I've got a heuchera at the back, and some ferns and some hostas in the shady parts. There's also a sedum that will be flowering in autumn because it's important to give wildlife lots of nectar throughout the year. I've got some more daisies and just lots of other plants. I went a bit crazy. So hopefully give it a few months. This will be absolutely full of colour, and it will be buzzing with bees and insects, and I just can't wait to see it fill out over the next few years. So turning around from the wildlife area, there's my shed, which is looking a little bit messier. There we go. But I can still make my tea, so that's the important thing. Oh yeah, my shed, by the way, is going to be a handmade or thrifted or gifted shed. I've decided, I have a rule now that nothing comes into my shed unless somebody's made it, I've been given it, or I bought it from a charity shop. And that's just going to help me keep down on all the clutter that I really probably don't need. In here I actually moved my zinnias because the slugs were after them in the polytunnel, and I really didn't want them to die, so I've just put them in here for now, as well as the hostas that are still growing because I only bought these this year. Here's some of my favourite artwork I decided to put up in the shed because this is basically my second home, so why not? And there's the view of the wildlife area from the shed. Isn't it great? So pleased. Just need to clean the windows a little bit, and I might be able to film some shots of all the wildlife that come in. So here's the view of my allotment from outside the shed door. As you can see, the borders are quite green and filled with weeds or shrubs or tree saplings that I need to cut back. But otherwise the land's quite cultivated and I'm quite happy at the moment. I planted up my teacup, by the way. Remember I got this in the January sales. It's in my first YouTube video. It's Finally got something in it. These plants here I actually picked up on a plant swap that we had, a little community day yesterday on the allotments. I've actually got a friend who's going to do a plot share with my neighbour, so I've picked up lots of things for her, including some broad beans and some cucumbers and some tomatoes, so these aren't grown by myself. Wow, it's so windy. Here's my Peak District corner, still filled with plants that are not planted out yet, but the ferns are doing really well. There's the heuchera. So this will actually be the next project once everything calms down a little, just to tidy up the area, plant everything out, as well as what's going to be the woodland area over here. I do actually have a clematis here, this purple tipped leaf one, and I'm not sure when's the best time to move it because that'll be flowering soon. So that's the next big project, guys. Look how much mess I made clearing out the wildlife area. There's my honest allotment view. This bed here will have all my pumpkins in this year. Got quite a few different varieties of squash. Unfortunately, all the tulips and daffodils have now faded. Although I have the one, look, self-seeded calendula that's in bloom. That's about it. I will be planting this up soon with dahlias. Here's the potatoes, all earthed up, but they still need earthing up again. They're growing so fast, so they're doing really well. And I really need to weed that path and wood chip that. This is a newly wood chipped path, and it feels great to finally have done this main section. It really helps make the plot look a bit tidier. Over here we have my peas. I've got 3 different varieties, and I'm using all natural trellis this year. So again, I've used some hazel canes to support them, and in between those canes I've woven some ivy that I was taking out of the wildlife area, and that's there for the little tendrils to hold on to so that they can climb. And they're all doing really well at the moment. So I'm going 3 varieties. One's a petit pois, one's a sugar snap pea, and the other is a purple podded one that it's from Sutton Seeds. We'll have purple pods, purple flowers, but green peas, and you can eat that as a pea or as like a sugar snap pea as well. That's this one that seems to be way ahead of the others. And also in this bed, this patch here is where the courgette plant will go. And next to it will be my salad. So I already have a few lettuces there and some beetroot. I'm growing the cylindrical beetroot that grows in big tubes rather than a round one, because they're easier to slice and I like to pickle them. Over here I've just sown some more lettuce seeds, so they're not, oh, they are just coming out. I can see a few specks in the distance. Oh, it's getting quite warm when the sun comes out. Here are my onions, need weeding, popping out of the ground a little bit. And the garlic actually set out a flower spike, and I've trimmed them all off. So I think they might have bolted in the hot weather that we had, but hopefully they'll still be okay, and they might grow a little bit more before they're ready for harvesting in July time. There's the raised bed rockery, it's still standing. It's still got some plants to go inside, that'll be the dahlias. Now this area at the back, do you remember I was planning on having a nice meadowy kind of area with lots of cosmos, but it's taken longer than expected to sort of dig it over. So I've done this patch here, but I still need to do all of this, and I know there's lots of bindweed in here, so we'll see how that goes. I might not get it all done this year. Oh, but I've got one thing to show you. So 2 years ago I think it was, I took a rose cutting from my neighbour's rose bush and I stuck it in the ground and I've completely forgot about it until now. And it's actually in bloom. I've got 2 big rose flowers here, and these were just taken from a cutting 2 years ago. So I'm so chuffed. I should probably move it somewhere because it's being swamped by all the herbs at the moment that are flopping everywhere. So as I stand on the mound, this is how the plot looks from up here, which is actually from the highest point of my allotment. Let's go have a look in the polytunnel next. So welcome to the jungle. Here is where all my plants are kept. Do you want to go through them? Let's have a look. Oh, it's quite warm in here. We have some cosmos. This is my purple cayenne chili. Some cucumbers. No, not cucumber, they're courgettes. I've got in here, that's so weird, a yacon that I got from a plant swap. Never grown that before. More little seedlings, poached eggplants, and snow puff. There's another courgette here at the back, that's almost ready to go out. These are my butternut squashes. More cosmos. This is actually a house plant, I need to take that back, that was from a swap as well. More chili, more squash. These are the honey boat squash. I'm trialling some seeds from Sutton's and it's a new variety for them. It's meant to taste a bit like sweet potato, but it's a squash, so I cannot wait to try these. Obviously they won't be harvested until about October time. More chilies, lemon drop. Got more seedlings along here. And then we come to Dahlia Central. Some of them are doing really well, some of them are flagging behind a little. I've topped some of the heads because apparently that's helps them make like more of a bushy plant, hopefully with more flowers. I've not grown them before, but somebody said that it's a good thing to do at this stage before they go out. Over here we've got more cosmos, some basil. I'm also growing a purple variety of basil next to it there. Yet more cosmos. Like I said, I did plan to have a lot of that this year. And some of my tomato plants. This one's an Amish paste. And what else do we have here? So that's a yellow delight chili. More chilies, Aji pineapple. Somebody gave me these seeds from Canada and I'm really looking forward to trying them. They're like a yellow chili, meant to be quite sweet, quite citrusy. Some more Amish paste tomatoes, because I like making lots of sauces. There's pepper and lots more basil because I love my sauces and my basil. I've got here a sweet million tomato. That's like a cherry tomato. And lots of nasturtiums. These are a ladybird nasturtium from Sutton Seeds again. They're like a peachy colour with a lovely like blush rose in the middle. All of these need planting out soon or potting up. It's that time of year. So yeah, I've got quite a lot of chilies on the go this year. And they're doing really well. I'm so pleased. I have some kale here. This is like a peacock white kale, quite an interesting one. And just a few more. That's rainbow chard. Bit hit and miss with germination on some of the cosmos, which is why I've got so many everywhere at the moment. And that's about it. So come next month, this area will not have any more dahlias in it. The tables should have disappeared and these support systems here will be holding up my tomatoes, which should hopefully be in the ground by next month. I just need to get everything out. It's so full in here. So thank you for joining me on another tour of my allotment. I hope you enjoyed the video. Next month the plot will really be filling out with plants and flowers. Hopefully the wildlife area will be in bloom, the dahlias will be going out, and I might even be harvesting a few things. So I'm really looking forward to June, and especially because in just 2 weeks time I'm going to be at the Chatsworth Flower Show as an RHS garden volunteer. So I'm really excited for that, and if you're going to be there at the weekend then you might see me there. Come and say hello because it'd be great to meet you guys. So thank you for watching and leaving all your lovely comments and subscribing to my channel. I will see you again next month for a brand new tour in June.